Hassan, you had some question.
Yes, sir.
Vamsigaru, can you unmute people? There are some questions.
Thank you, Ram, and good evening to all the dignitaries. It has been a very interesting session. In fact, I told Ram that I will leave in about 10 minutes, but that topic is so hot that I stayed on listening to my friends, Dr. Meenakshi, yes. Here I just wanted to make a few observations. One was recollecting an incident from Dr. Vishweshwaraya's life. He was traveling in a train, it seems, and suddenly he heard a different sound coming. I mean, this is the night, late night, he's sleeping, and there was a change in the sound. And he got extremely suspicious because of the change of sound, and he went and alerted the compartment in charge to halt the train because he suspected that the rail ahead has a crack. And believe it, they stopped the train, they inspected the track ahead, and they found a crack on the rail. So why I specifically mentioned this is engineering is not just about knowledge or skill development alone. It's also being observant, it's also being analytical. You must know what's going around you, and you must be able to analyze any deficiency that's coming out in the process. That's point number one. And after my stint at IT Calcutta about 30 years, and I joined an engineering college as its dean. Fortunately or unfortunately, I encountered a few, this is what my observations were. 70% of the students coming for engineering, except you leave aside the IITs and the NITs, those coming into engineering, the private engineering colleges, they are coming in by parents' choice, not by their choice. That's the most unfortunate thing. And more unfortunately, they have least interest. And so how do you think that these engineers can be employable? I think this is a point that we really have to ponder, not just as administrators of engineering colleges, but also as parents, whether we should really be forcing these type of decisions on the students. Because frankly, what happens, the student, the child, he fails to perform in his life, right? And that fault then goes back to the parent for not having allowed the child to make his own decision. That was one. And second thing, with respect to TV Maran's address, I just had another observation with your respect to your address, was yes, skill development is required, but skill development through the internet, like when I told you the child itself is not showing an interest, and skill development through the internet is a big question mark. We tried it in our college by trying to conduct special courses for students, and I think it was pathetically bad, the response. So the whole thing lies, the onus lies mostly on the student on how to do it. And another observation is regarding entrepreneurship. On a lighter vein, if everyone becomes an entrepreneur, who will buy your product? Right? Right, so yeah, with these, so we have to go for, not everybody can become an entrepreneur, and not, the government gives you help, it gives you funding, but it has got its own set of extremely elaborate, enormous rules and regulations. Then, yeah, that's
Thank you, Hassan. We have a question from Dr. Demuru. Dr. Demuru, please. Thank you, Hassan, for your insights. You come from the government side as well as the education sector.
He has to unmute himself.
Myself?
No,
No,
Mr.
Dr.
Demru.
Demru. Dr. Demru, you can please unmute. Yes, sir.
So somebody has to unmute him.
Vamsi garu, can you please unmute Dr. Demru?
Would somebody like to call
Okay.
him and tell him?
Okay.
Yes,
Am I audible?
Yes, doctor, you are audible.
Oh, good evening to all of you. So today, the speakers Prakash Rao and Madam and Mata, we enlightened key aspects of present day engineering education and its quality and the skill set required for the people coming out of the institutions. But what is happening is, earlier in 70s and 80s, engineers are graduates coming out of various issues. In those days, everybody in mind is to go for apprenticeship. The idea is only today we are calling it skill development, but in those days, apprentice training is also for skill development. But today, the society mindset and especially youth coming out of the institutions, they are aspiring only directly job in front of all these things. So that is the mindset in society today. Because maybe due to the parents' impact and the society impact, whatever it may be, earning motive is the main object of the budding engineers today, rather than the skills acquired by them is sufficient to hold that position in the organization to get a job or to become an entrepreneur. That is one aspect. And everybody is now suggesting to the youth to have highly skillful sets that are required to the field where they are going to enter with their interest and passion. But today, so where these inputs are to given to the youth budding engineers at the engineering colleges or other institutions, at what level, by whom, and is it the responsibility of authorities of the engineering colleges or institutions monitored by government agencies, or is it the responsibility of the industrial organizations where they are expecting a job to for their livelihood? Is the responsibility of the industries to motivate them or inject them this kind of mindset or specific to get the improved skills according to the advanced technologies, latest changes, and etc. keeping in mind. And also, these things are in my mind. Who has to take initiative to inject them to change their mindset towards this acquiring skills or whatever the application of knowledge, application of technology, and how to utilize resources utilization to keep the environment protected, and also economies, and all these things are to be injected to the students. Are the present engineering colleges are doing this to the up to the mark, or if not, what are the bodies or organizations to inject them at what level? That is my point of question. Please throw some light.
Yeah, noted your point, Dr. Demru. See, the point is it requires two hands to clap. An interest should come from within the student. Objectives of what he wants in his life, at least maybe not in his primary school, but as he grows older, the responsibility has to come with an individual. And there are fairly good resources available for technical development. It doesn't mean you have to force feed. I mean, if a horse wants to, it has to go to the river to drink. That's it. Vidyasagar Mr. Vidyasagar had a question. Mr. Vidyasagar.
Sir, I have an answer for you. Can I?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Dr. Demru, sir. You are talking about this apprenticeship and these things and all. See, nowadays, as everyone is aware, as the companies hire, they train them. Like you take any IT company, They train them for 3 months or 6 months in the job, and then only they take into the job program. So as such, after an engineering degree, it doesn't require any special apprentice and all. They go for a job specific training. You take any sort of engineering industry also, they don't directly put into an engineering work. Any fresh engineer, they take as a management trainee, or they'll call it as executive trainee, assistant trainee, or like that. In IGCAR also we have a training school program where the young engineers get trained. Then only they'll be put
Yes,
into
training,
job.
isn't it, Mr. Maran? I think
Yes, sir.
school is compulsory route to enter into the technical stream in atomic energy.
What's that? What?
Training school is the compulsory route to enter into atomic energy.
Ram Prasad Garu, can I ask a question?
Please.
I must be the only non-engineer here, so forgive me if I'm asking the wrong question, but I read a statistic this morning. Only 7% of Indian engineering graduates are employable. What is
Yes,
wrong?
yes.
What is wrong with the Indian engineers? Please tell me.
So
Maran,
already
your husband, you
colleges.
have been in education, man, you possibly make your observation.
Shall I?
Or Mr. Prakash Rao has been an educationist.
Yes. Ma'am, yes, the statistics are correct. What I feel is the main reason is it is a lapse on the part of the curriculum, I can say. The curriculum. So because the curriculum is only early days, is only a theoretical part, and only the practical hands-on experience that you used to get when they enter into the organization or industry or apprentice only. Now that is, even though changed, the apprentice system in India is also totally different. And the people are feeling shy to enter into apprentice, and they are feeling in a different way. We call them as apprentice. So it is quite unfortunate because of many other reasons. But let us see the nature or the attitude of the student. If we insist the candidate, if the 35% marks are the pass marks, he will only try for 35% only. If the pass mark is raised to 50%, naturally he will work hard and he will do everythingly and he will try to pass the examination. If it is mandatory to acquire the skill and knowledge while doing the studies itself, definitely if it is made mandatory, now it is forcibly, definitely then only the things will change. And in UK, I have observed that, for example, in a civil engineering degree holder is supposed to do a masonry work for 1 week. That is, he is supposed to build the house with his own hands by doing the masonry work, bricklaying work. So similarly, in all other activities, a particular engineer is supposed to do it with his own hands, so that tomorrow, when he is called as engineer, he will control and dictate terms and conditions to all the workers then and there itself. And such a system of education is not there with us. And I am sure definitely it is a lapse on the part of, I cannot straight away say it is for the government or the organizations or controlling authorities. Modify the curriculum accordingly so that no special skill training is required after completion of their graduation or course.
Thank you, sir.
We hope
Thank
the
you.
new education system will bring some changes. Let us hope that things happen.
Yeah.
Yes. Watch, because there's definitely 35-40 years there is a change in the education system. Let's see what happens. Vamsagaru, please unmute Mr. Vidyasagar. He is like to say something.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Vidyasagar. Vamsi, can you unmute Mr. Vidyasagar?
Yeah. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Please, sir.
Good evening. Yeah, good evening, Meenakshi.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. You actually had a question, but after your question, I converted it to an answer to your question. See, people are doing engineering because they are not getting any other seats, or maybe engineering seats are available even you get a 2 lakh rank in the
True.
I'll give you one example, then you will yourself will know why there are only 7% are employed. I got one candidate for interview in my office. I gave him scale I asked him how many millimeters are there per inch, and he is not able to answer. I think that tells you the standard of
Yes.
the students today.
Did he
Yes.
Google for it?
Yes, sir.
Did he Google for it?
Yes.
No, he didn't Google because he didn't know that by googling he will get that.
Yes.
I'm not joking. I'm not kidding. And no, I'm
I agree.
telling
I
as it
agree.
is my experience. I'm sharing with you.
No, your observation
Now tell me,
is
sir.
very right, sir.
And now tell me, sir, how will you get? Forget about he finished his mechanical engineering, Bernoulli's theorem, these and all. Far way beyond his thinking. And it's a fundamental question he doesn't know. And simple units for area, volume, and length, distance. He doesn't know the difference between length and distance. And he doesn't know the difference between length and height. So what you can get from engineers, sir, this is what they are being, everybody, another wonderful answer that people give to in entry, sir, there is no relevance between what I studied and what I'm working. This is one common dialogue I hear from every candidate. Then I asked him, very good, you are absolutely right. I have a job for accountant, will you work? He says no. This is the kind of a thinking the candidates has, what we can write it.
Vidyasagar Garu, I have an M.Tech who's applied for a job as my office assistant for 10,000 rupees salary. So this answers the question. He's happy with his degree to show off, but 10,000 rupees he's willing to answer calls. So this is the attitude, Vidya Garu.
His attempts and trials. He must have come up trials and trials. Sir, only 10% of the engineering graduates from engineering colleges are employed, sir. And 90% are float around.
Internet is falling way.
Sir, a small submission, sir.
Internet has become
Without
unstable.
having the minimum, right, he is simply getting a degree certificate even with distinction. So where is the wrong? Where is the wrong, sir? Let us avoid.
I will tell you, sir, the fellow who came, sir, the fellow who, yes, sir, I'm telling you, the fellow who came to answer me that, he doesn't, not able to find out millimeters from an inch, from giving a scale also.
Yeah.
And a similar person is teaching him in the third year, when he finishes fourth year, he is employed as a lecturer.
Listen to this very interesting way.
I can name the college, I don't mind. He's from, that fellow worked in as a
What you
teacher
say
in
every
Meadow
day.
College.
Yeah, sir, sorry.
How many inches in a foot he doesn't know.
It is a lapse in the system, sir, entire system. Lapse in the system. I can say. Yes.
Well, this is a very interesting thing. I think we'll have to have a second session sometime to discuss. And very much sincerely, I think we ought to prepare because ISRE is a national body. And I think we can prepare a white paper from the institution. From ISRE itself, we can probably prepare a white paper, make a submission for whatever it is worth. We'll keep knocking, one day it will open. With that hope, I think we come to a conclusion for today's event. I invite Mr. Kishore Gupta to propose a vote of thanks. And it was a very wonderful event, gentlemen. I believe all of you would agree. Kishore Gupta, please, vote of thanks. Yes, Dr. Hassan noted we will have another session. Mr. Kishore Gupta, I think you can unmute him.
He's on mute.
Kishore Garuji, I think you have to unmute.
వంశీ గారు అందరినీ అన్మ్యూట్ చేసేయండి ఇప్పుడు. వంశీ గారు ఉన్నారు లేదు.
Vinod, can you unmute him?
Yes, sir.
Unmute everyone now.
Unmute everybody when we start.
Am I audible now?
Yes, Kishorji,
Yes.
you are audible. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. My homage to Sir Vishweshwaraya Garu on his birth anniversary and my greetings to all the engineers in the room. A very good evening to everyone. I am Kishore Gupta, the K-12 chair of Visakhapatnam ISRE, and I am here to present the vote of thanks. I would like to thank our keynote speaker, Dr. Meenakshi Garu, for the power-packed talk on the role of youth as engineers in today's environment. That was a very inspiring speech on work experience. The words were, "Dirty hands are the ones which will write a successful story." I also thank Sri Vikram Murthy Garu for attending the webinar and your nice words, sir. I thank Engineer T.D. Maran sir for his deep insights into the current day situation. The part where Mr. Maran told us how an engineer has to develop and evolve to be employable was really informative. An engineer with managerial skills, ethical judgments, passion and creative is ideal. Engineers are the silent leaders of society. Very well said, sir, Mr. Maran sir. And Mr. Prakash Rao Garu pointed out that the young generations are very lucky as they have an advanced technology at their disposal. He says that an engineer should have multi-engineering talents. And his catchword was safeguard the environment, condition monitoring is important for the future, avoid pollution and strive for a greener earth. Mr. Hassan said be obedient and analytical. Thank you very much, all the speakers, and I thank Ram Prasad Garu for your beautiful handling and control of the webinar. I thank Mr. Madhu Garu for introducing all the speakers. I thank all the members of ISRE and the guests for attending today's webinar and the wonderful interaction session at the end. I'm very sure this precious evening will lead all our youth to steer themselves as successful engineers. Thank you one and all.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, there is a small announcement. I request all Vizag CWC members to step back, please.
Yes, and I acknowledge the presence of the man behind the woman. Thank you.
Yes, the
Thank you, ma'am.
1981 chemical engineering batch. I'm in love with him for so many years. So I know what it is like to live with an engineer. You guys rock. Thank you so much, Anantram, and the entire engineering fraternity. God bless you all.
So the
Thank you.
man behind you, Anantraman, best wishes to all of you. Thank you for trying.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madhu Garu. Thank you. That's good.
Thank you all. Thank you all, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madhu sir.
Thank you.
So sweet. He himself acknowledged you. See?